Hey guys, welcome back to Say What Reacts. We're back again with another NewJeans reaction for you guys. So today we have Carlito back with us. For those of you who have not seen Carlos, he does a lot of videos with me in regards to theories and storylines. So, which is exactly why I brought him here today, because we are getting into Ditto A, B, and OMG, because I really want to hear his perspective on it. And as a bonus, so we have Jen with us today as well. So I'm super excited to see what you think too, because, you know, maybe a completely different perspective than he has,
right?
Which will be super interesting
for sure.
So yeah, so I'm super excited about this, especially because if you guys don't know, I actually reacted to all three of these as well. I had my own theories. It was super interesting. I'm still hella confused, but I still had like a theory as to what I think was happening. So yeah, I'm just I really want to get into this. I'm really curious to pick their brains on all of this. So yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Ditto A, and then Ditto B, and then OMG. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's put that on pause. Are you guys ready? Oh, you know what? I never adjusted the size of the screen. It's going to be covering y'all's faces. Yeah, there we go. Hold up. There we go. We're good. Okay. Yeah, I guess we could just leave. Should we center the screen? That's okay. Whatever. We'll put it here. And then if you guys sit up, you let me know, and then I'll adjust it if I need to make it smaller, okay?
No, we good.
Okay. All right. You guys ready?
Yes. You gonna put pause warning in here?
Oh, yeah. Pause warning. I'm going to have to move that, too, because it's going to be all up in your face. Hold on. Put that above me. Okay. There we go. Pause warning. Yes, we will pause if we need to pause, because this is like a theory kind of reaction. And if he... Drink your water. Drink your water. That's a drink water app reminder. So drink your water. Stay hydrated.
Always.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they just had water right before this. That's why they're good. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Wait, hold on. I gotta hit it. Click this button, and now we're ready. Plus, these songs are just like really good, so that's always nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a couple theories with this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but I want to hear kind of your thoughts on that first.
That this girl's lonely, mad lonely.
So you think it's because she's lonely?
I mean, for sure.
Okay.
Because she's getting like scrutinized in the beginning too. They're just like, yo, it's that crazy cat girl.
You know
well,
no. Kitty Kang was that's one of the members.
That's not real.
Well, yeah. So
you
it wasn't her getting scrutinized.
But it's like she's creating this world in her mind, right? So it's like these there's personalities of those. I don't know who these girls are. I don't know what their thing is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just like they're obviously 5 individual girls, and they have their own personalities, and they all kind of show differently. They're not just like a copy of 5 same people. You know what I mean? Like they have their own personalities. And is it something that she's projecting outwards, like an amalgamation of who she wants to be, or like how she projects like these are the types of girls that people would like, and not like fawn over or anything like that, but like versions of herself that she would like to see that are personified within in this group altogether. Yeah. But yeah, it's wild. And the next 2 videos are attached to that as well too. Are they going to be like? Well,
this is Ditto side A, then there's Ditto side B. Right. Yeah, so you're going to see, I guess more of this kind of unfolding. Yeah. How about you?
You said it.
Yeah, kind of on the same thought lines of that, just creating this her own world, and she's lonely. Okay, so my 2 thought processes, to be transparent. So after this, I was going 2 different ways with it. Number 1, I was like, were they a friend group of 6, and these 5 made it?
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Maybe she's like the reject,
and she's like she was left behind because they are now trainees and they've now debuted and they're kind of got their own thing, and now she's left behind. So she used to record them and they used to do all these things together, and now it's just her by herself. So that was where my mind went on one half of it. Yeah. And on the other half, I did see the bunny in the box at the beginning when she took the tape out. Yeah. And the bunny, that's their fandom, and I'm like, is this a parasocial thing? Is she a fan of theirs and she's creating in her mind that she's actually like with them and filming them, and it's like kind of like when parasocial relationships become like to the point where it's not okay. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm like, are they trying to tackle that aspect of things? Right. So those were the 2 places my mind went with it. Because parasocial, that is someone who's lonely. No, I get because that. they create this kind of thing in their head that's not real. Right. So that's kind of that was kind of on the same wavelength of what you were kind of going with. For sure. But I connected it to like being a fan of a group in that aspect, not just lonely in general, because of the bunny thing in the beginning. So. Right. And the fact that she's filming them like dancing and stuff, like an actual performing kind of practicing, So that's kind of where my mind went and especially because, let's continue watching because I feel like more comes up in the second video.
because there's things like I got questions about, like, well, how did her arm get broken? And then obviously like when they were in the last scene where it's moving backwards and we see that she is by herself altogether, like she is stigmatized, like she is ousted, like no one in her class like interacts with her at all.
Guy was the only one who kind of looked like they took an interest in her.
But that's another thing too, like she's an unreliable narrator, so we don't know if those were just things in her head.
Was he looking at someone behind
was he actually looking at her? Yeah, exactly. Right. Because we don't know what was real and what wasn't. Right.
And I think in terms of like the other theory of them being a group, that's just cold as fuck. Like if they were like friends,
I know,
and they
that's
blew
where
up.
my mind went.
Well,
because I was just like, oh.
Well, if they have their schedules, it's probably not that they're not friends anymore. It's just that they have their other schedules. They're going to be away. Yeah. Doing their own thing. Not that they, they themselves didn't want her, but it's
but there's other aspects of that I feel like we do live a day and age like a phone call. Things like of that nature would imply more of those things. Yeah. I looked at it.
Sometimes as trainees you're not even allowed to have your phone. It depends on the company, but yeah.
And they're obviously like in school, so I'm sure there's like rules and that's regulated a different way altogether as well. But we don't see we don't see her in her life outside of just being, because like where is she? You know what I'm saying? Like that little clubhouse or whatever. Is that like a school clubhouse where they would hang out?
That's what it looked like to me, but I don't know. Yeah.
And then like when she was
with like the couch, because there was lockers and stuff.
Yeah. And like when she was drawing, and then she just like erases half of it and the video ends and things like that. Like I get your point with the parasocial stuff, but I kind of feel like I don't feel that, I don't get that vibe personally. Like, I think this is more of like, it is isolation and being lonely and things like that. And again, like, she has no support. Like, how did she break her arm? She's painting her fingernails. So like, that to me, and again, I do this a lot. I project my personal experience of what I've encountered in my life. Like, what does she got going on in her personal life outside of kind of like this disassociative thing, that if NewJeans is NewJeans in the universe and she is a fan and she's connecting to them, what's going on in her life to like separate from reality that way? Right. You know what I mean? Because we don't see enough of like, that videotape was in the box and playing it, and that's how it's introduced. Like, she puts the tape in, and then we're seeing it played back, and then we're seeing her record it, and then we see that she's the only person doing anything and documenting these things. But what has she got going on? Like, obviously, she has some type of touch of like mental illness or emotional distress altogether, because we find at the end that no one is there. Right. She's on the roof by herself. She's walking in the rain by herself. She's doing all these things like by herself. And I thought that was kind of strange too, that it's just like, oh, okay, like I see the concept of like they're all friends and she's recording and documenting all these things, but then it got like really sad when you realize that it's just like, damn, she's by herself. And it's like, what leads her to that level of loneliness and isolation, even being in school and being young. Because like,
well, I think that's probably why the parasocial thing kind of came to my mind, as far as like or even not parasocial, but sorry, not that part of it. Yeah. The friend group thing. Right. That's why that came to my mind, because that would explain why she's now by herself, and she's kind of almost like reminiscing on when they were together, and they would be practicing for stuff before they actually made it. You know what I mean? So, like, and she'd be filming them because she wasn't really a part of like the group, but she was still a friend of the group. She was with the group, but not the actual debut group type of thing.
Like with what's presented, like having that she has her arm is broken, and she's like isolated from something, like that to me is like something traumatic had happened to her. Yeah. It might have something to do with her arm, it may not. But whoever she is as a person has kind of like followed her throughout her life, and something had happened to her. And it's not like, because not even people being fake, because like they're all signing her cast and stuff like that. No one signed her cast at all. And then when she's like filming, they're just like, yo, this girl's crazy as fuck. Yeah, she's doing this type of shit. So it's just like, what has happened to her to put her in this place? Right. That she's that one. Is it like a, I don't know, man. When you're a teenager, we all do fucking crazy shit to cope with things like that. So it's just like, there is an element of like, she is aware, because when she is by herself, and we kind of see like that flashback getting into it, it's just like that reality sets in that she is by herself.
Like when she wakes up on the couch,
and it's reflecting back on what's really going on. So she's definitely aware that she's strange, and that she is looked at a certain way. But again, like the nuanced thing of the arm, like her arm being broken and things like that, that is for a reason. So it's like that's a physical sign of like
something
of trauma, right? Because like we've talked about it in the other videos when we talk about like this emotional stuff, especially like with youth and stuff. Like a lot of people like suffer in silence because a mental thing and emotional thing isn't a physical attribute. You don't know what's going on.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, how do you, if she has gone through something mental, right, and not just physical, how do you portray that in this type of story? If you show an actual broken arm, you know something happened. Right. So it's a visual cue that something happened here. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That makes sense. Are you ready for B-side?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. All right, let's do B-side. If I'm not wrong, I think I remember a lot of it being similar, but there was definite differences. So, all right, let's go. Same song.
Oh, is this like a remix or something?
No, same song. It's just for the video's sake.
느낌 그대로만 기다렸지 all this time. I got nothing to lose. 널 좋아한다고. 따따따따 울린 심장. I don't want to stay in the middle like you a little. Don't want no riddle. 말해줘 say it back on say it down. 아침이 너무 멀어서 say it down. I don't want to walk in this middle. 다 아는 건 아냐도 바라던 대로. 말해줘 say it back I'll say it down. I want you so say it down.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like to your point, it's just kind of like a reshoot. This just gives you more. It's more condensed of
more
all the elements.
Story, but you definitely get more to her.
Yeah.
I think, in the story. Hisu is the person who's been filming.
Right.
That's that person's name, I believe, that they've been referencing. But yeah. Yeah. I know.
Sometimes it made you feel like the group isn't even like real at all. Like,
right.
It's just part of her. Because every time they would show like her panning to like, it would just show like other people, not the group. It's just them looking at her funny.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Yeah. But I also thought it was interesting the perspective of like she's watching them like practice in like an empty parking lot under a street light, and she's in the distance, like she's watching this real group of girls sitting there doing their thing, practicing together, but she's not a part of it. She's just watching it from afar, maybe wishing she was a part of it. Yeah,
but not even like there as part of it as filming.
No, like
but just like as
just an outsider looking in. So is the group of girls real and she wished she was a part of it, or are they not real at all?
But they also, in this video, they gave the girls more personality. In terms of like the girls would watch her walk away and then interact with like, okay, there's that boy.
Yeah.
And can see the interaction and connection and like comfort her and things like that. So it's just like, I got to like the BTS vibes of the little chibi guys, the little like web cartoons.
The Tiny Tons?
Yeah, the Tiny Tons or whatever, where it's just like they're like very supportive, but they're obviously not there.
Right,
you know what I mean?
How long has she had her arm broken? Because they shows them like signing it, and then it shows them not like with
or
it, like,
is the signing it just not real? Yeah.
And or like what I think it is too, it's like if she lives by herself, like if she goes to this school and it's like in a different city and she lives like on campus or whatever, like she found that box, like did she find that tape? And NewJeans is people that she wished she could interact with. And she has that camera and she's recording and like reliving those scenarios that she had seen on tape. That NewJeans is real. They are a group. she never interacted with them, and not necessarily in a parasocial aspect, but like what they have, I'm by myself. I don't know them, but I'm connecting to them in a way, and they become kind of like a fairy godmother, like spirit team.
Yeah.
That like kind of boost her up.
Yeah.
And like she attaches herself to them as a support system altogether. But then like the deer thing too.
I didn't understand the deer thing.
Well, like
it probably has significance.
Maybe like innocence, like as far as like a deer, like
or like vulnerability.
Yeah,
too.
I was about to say, yeah,
deers
like
by
Bambi,
themselves,
you know,
yeah,
like
deers by themselves, like because deers, I don't know, pack animal isn't the right term, or a herd or whatever, but they're usually together. You know what I mean?
They're not usually by themselves.
Right, and to see, and like the first time we see that deer in the first video, it's like in the wilderness. She's out there in the wilderness.
It's not in the wilderness, but it's like in a field.
Yeah. I mean, it's not in the city.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like,
but by itself, and it's looking at her, and they look the same. They have like that level of like vulnerability and loneliness and isolation in themselves, and we see it in the second video. It's like in the school too. So like, yeah, the significance of that, because like, and deers as a whole are like a very like noble, like stoic animal too. So, but again, what's the other side,
right,
of that? And then the second video, there's kind of like to your point, Jen, of like her being the outsider. There's like that one scene where it's like in the grass.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
like
it's
she's the outsider looking.
Not even the outsider. She's like almost like hiding. You know what I mean? But there's also instances of like there's not anywhere for her to really hide, like when they're dancing on top of the parking garage, like you can't hide anywhere.
That's why you just saw her like there but not like there at the same time, like from afar.
And I feel and I wonder that if that altogether is like she found that tape, and because this video ends with it, the other video begins with it of her finding the tape and playing the tape. The fact that NewJeans could be real, but they're not attached to her and her reality, and it's just one of those aspects again.
They do say her name though,
but we don't know.
But that could just be in her head.
Be real.
Right, yeah. Or it could not even be her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. This person could be someone separate altogether. The
person Hisu that we see at the very end, that's just older. Like she's just reminiscing.
That's what I was gonna say.
It is like a old box. I mean, it's a VHS.
Yeah. Blows off the dust.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thought and it brings me back to the parasocial thing. Because, you know, like, sometimes you do develop relationships with, like, your faves and your idols. And you find comfort in them. And they help you through things, through their music, through just watching them on a live stream. You know what I mean? Just, like, feeling that you're not alone. And so, maybe whatever trauma she did have, she used them as her coping mechanism to get through whatever she went through, and then she didn't need that anymore. Maybe she found that, you know, she met the guy, everything, you know, because you see her actually walking with the guy at one point,
right?
So maybe her, you know, her life kind of switched and got maybe a little bit better, and then at one point she, you know, maybe she just wants to reminisce, or maybe things are not great again. I
feel like that's where
she goes back to the box.
And dropping the camcorder.
Yeah.
She was like done. Her way, like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't need
this anymore. Right. That's kind of where I thought too. Yeah. And so at the end, it's kind of like, is she going back just to reminisce, or like, is she back in that mental place where she needs this again? So she went back to the box to kind of brush off the old memories, and, you know, and then she kind of like, all of a sudden you see them walk in the room, but they're not really there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, is she back where she was mentally, you know what I mean, even though she's older, like, you know, or is that just all, is that not accurate at all? You know what I mean? Is it all just fake and she just all made it up in her head, or is it like a parasocial thing and they helped her get through and cope with whatever she was going through, and now she's going through maybe something else, and she kind of went back to that box to kind of that's her process maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very,
I don't know,
it's very interesting,
right?
And then her like walking with the boy, is that real?
That part I assume is real, because he did, like, even when she was by herself, like like recording with the camcorder, he would kind of like look at her kind of like and take an interest in her, even though she seemed odd, and why is she filming nothing, you know, type of thing.
He was the only one that wasn't one of the girls that would look at the
That's
camera
what I was going to say,
like,
too. Yeah.
Just like disgust, or just like, oh, this, like, weirdo.
He took an interest in her,
yeah,
like kind of very like curious.
Yeah, well, he got the vibe too. He could obviously see, because again, like when he's on the balcony with his homeboys, he's looking down, so we know he sees her by herself,
right,
going through some shit. You know what I mean? So it's just like he's connected to her in some way of intrigue, and not necessarily discuss her. He's just empathetic enough to know, like,
wants to help her, or like see what's going on with her. Yeah.
But again, we don't see any other interactions of that because, like, even back to like the whole camcorder thing, so of the interactions that she was having with her imaginary friends, like, why isn't there any video of them together? Because that camcorder plays such a significant part of if it is her coping device and she's using it to create a false memory or to just make every day palatable for her to go through and to feel kind of like these dreamscapes of with something that is real. Like, why isn't there any tape? She like stalks him just as much as she stalked those other girls or whatever. You know what I mean? Or stalk is a
I know what you meant though.
Lurk.
She recorded him to capture
Randomly,
that moment.
yeah, exactly.
And sometimes not so random, like
yeah,
on purpose, like getting in there. But in the first video, we see her very coy. Like when
Yeah.
he does catch on, she's
like,
just
oh,
like,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in this video, there's obviously that he does notice her, and
Yeah.
and there's other things that he notices her on his own accord as well too. So I don't know, man. But again, like the symbolism of the camcorder and what it means to her, the deer, her arm being broken, like these are all kind of things of like vulnerability and like innocence and isolation and confusion and like being seen and being heard and things like that. So it's, and even like the lyrics of the song too, like Ditto, like that whole song in itself is just like, please tell me that like you feel the same way I feel,
Yeah.
type shit. So it's just like, that's why like in terms of like having a relationship with the group and they are established like in this universe as one thing, I think like thinking back on like to your point, is she older dusting off that video and it's
yeah, that's what it seemed like. And even her hair was slightly different.
right
Yeah.
No, she
or
was like clearly older.
yeah, or is it a different girl and it just like the same thing?
I don't think it's a different
You know what I
girl.
mean?
I think
'Cause,
it's
like,
the same girl, just
okay.
older.
I got you.
I personally,
Right,
I don't
right.
think they would throw it at just a completely random person.
Well, because
in there at
I
the
feel
end.
like at the close to the end of the video, she's walking away with the boy. You know, she drops the camera. She's
well, that's
walking away
what.
with the boy, and then there's
That's
shit
why.
in the dorm.
Why is she back in this place?
Right.
Going through this,
Right,
like
right,
that.
right.
That's what. Like that's why in my head I'm like, what brought her back
Yeah,
here?
and who's calling her? That's why.
Yeah,
that's
who was
why it
calling her in
helps.
her room when
Yeah,
she was
that
like,
helps to, like,
you know, had her head down. I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of a friend, but I don't know. I don't read Korean, so I don't know what that was,
Yeah, I
which
don't
would
know.
probably be pretty important, and it would give you more information because it's not just like we see her phone ringing; it goes on there.
Does
so
it
we
say
can
the
see.
name?
Well,
It does say
there's
the
there's
name?
characters there, and it's not like one of those things of where it's just like just a throwaway scene of just like, oh, people are calling you. It's like, who's calling you? It's got hearts. You know, it's somebody's name.
Minji. Minji?
Okay.
Minji.
So we can assume that maybe
Is
Minji's
that
the
one of the
boy?
members?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know all the members yet, guys. I'm gonna look it up and see if it's one of the members.
But to the point I was
Yeah,
saying about the first video too, like even though if they are in a group and she's just a friend of theirs and they did make it,
Yeah.
and you were saying like, you know, that it's really strict on how they can contact and stuff like that. But if these are your friends, why won't you pick up your phone?
Minji is one of the members.
I got you.
It's the first member that I pull up.
Right.
So yeah, so Minji is calling her. Okay, so it is one of the members.
Yeah. So and if that is the case, if they moved on and stuff like that, what does she got going on in her life that she feels abandoned and she's holding on to these things and stuff?
Yeah.
like
So
that?
like if her
There's one more
phone
video,
is
right?
actually ringing.
Yeah.
And it is Minji calling her. That means that they are real in a way, right?
Yeah.
Unless that's obviously something she's just
This
making up.
song gave me like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Spice World movie.
Sorry if that gets like really loud and then really quiet.
But
Sorry.
there's like this scene where they go back. They've like split up. They come back. They're at like their hub or whatever. And there's like a sixth member, but she ended up leaving to like
Do her own thing.
Yeah, she got pregnant.
Right,
or whatever.
right.
This whole video gave me that
vibe? Yeah.
Like where they all
Interesting.
like reminiscing, and then that's why I kind of felt when you were like, maybe she was part of the group too, but just didn't make it or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's where I got.
Or maybe like not even trying to make it, but just, you know, she was still part of the friend group, but
Right.
not necessarily one of the ones that were trying to be an idol. You know what I
But
mean?
like
So
this
she kind
whole
of gets left
video
behind.
gave me that same like feeling from from that
Yeah.
scene
Right,
in Spice
right.
World.
But like a lot of like the cues in here, like a lot of the imagery and stuff like that, and the technology, like this isn't taking place now.
Yeah, the
This
way
is-
that like
this
the
is in the
VHS
past.
and the
Not just the VHS, all the VHSs,
Yeah, that's
the
true.
media,
The
her
style.
phone, the style, the way that
Yeah.
they dress. It's fashionable now,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's not. This is a new trend then. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like there's a lot of parallels of obviously like, you know,
even that phone. If you think about the phone,
yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like the late '90s, the camcorder
like,
she's using, and that it's a VHS as well that she's watching.
That's
like,
an old ass phone.
Yeah,
we don't use phones like that anymore. I used that phone back in
that's like
the 2000s. Yeah, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm old. Yeah, I had a phone just like that, except it was red and silver.
So I think that like this video again, like to your parasocial point, like this is happening in another time.
Right.
Like all together. Like this isn't a modern thing.
Yeah.
Like this is happening back then.
Right.
Whenever then is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just there's a lot of aspects of it that we don't see. She's got a journal, how she break her arm, like what's going on. Like I feel like she's going to this school and like she doesn't have family. Like she has family somewhere.
Yeah.
And like maybe she's from the country. Like the whole deer thing. Like deer in the headlights, she's not in her element and those were her friends. They made it out. But we don't know if they're actually like a group. Yeah. As they are. Her friends could be back home and she's just trying to put it together. I don't know. It's just fucking wild.
I know, right?
And there's one more video after that?
Okay, so there is one more video. Now, these are obviously very much together. The other video is very storyline that could possibly be connected to this. Yeah. But it's very interesting is all I'm going to say.
Because the one thing I can say...
shit.
The one thing I can say that this video represents altogether, regardless of the relationship with the girls, of what they represent, like this girl's lonely. And she's going through some shit. Yeah. And she is by herself and she doesn't have a support system. And that is, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, like what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Even regardless of how that came about.
But
if that's the overall.
Are they a girl group? Are they all whatever?
Whatever it boils down to, the fact that
she is alone.
She's lonely and there's some sort of coping happening.
It is a coping mechanism of some sort. For sure. And she does have a sense of like limerence and longing. Like she wants to be seen and heard and be a part of something. It's just not with the people that she's with. Who's a professor from Powerpuff Girls? This guy looks just like him.
All right, let's do this last. This is 6 minutes and 33 seconds. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this one. All right, let's get into it.
Was her teacher recognizes like, oh man, this girl crazy.
그럼 다음 분 얘기 들어볼까요?
Oh, they're clones.
처음에는 혼란스럽기만 했습니다. 내가 누군지, 여기가 어딘지 알 수 없었어요.
Steve Jobs, baby.
남들이 이야기하는 나와 진짜 내가 헷갈리기 시작.
I love that you what did you just say?
Steve Jobs. That's who she is, dog.
시작했어요. 하지만 겨우 그 답을 찾았어요.
Damn.
Why do you think I was like, wait, what did you just fucking say? How did you call that already? Shit. He does this shit all the time.
There's only 2 people that wear black turtlenecks and jeans, dog. He ain't got a
with
chain
glasses.
on, so it's not The Rock. So
it's not The Rock or fanny pack.
Yeah, dog. So it's got to be Steve Jobs.
그 답을 찾았어요. 사실 저는 아이폰이었습니다.
Wow. This girl was like, I thought I was crazy.
위해 존재합니다. 당신이 부르면 언제 어디라도 달려갈 거예요. 당신이 보고 싶어하는 것을 보여주고 당신을 위해 말하고 당신을 위해 노래할 거예요. 당신이 제게 원하는 것은 무엇일까요? 제 머릿속은 항상 제게 원하는 것은 무엇일까요? 제 머릿속은 항상 이 질문으로 가득합니다. 그동안 제가 고민했던 것이 부끄러워졌습니다. 제가 누구인지는 이제 중요하지 않아요. 저는 당신을 위해 존재합니다.
그러니까 지금 네가 실이라는 얘기야? 네, 그렇습니다.
Okay, so just from that, what's your interpretation of that? Because I know I paused it here and I was like, okay, this is what I just got from that.
Well, they're obviously in some kind of mental outpatient facility.
Yes.
And this is their therapy session.
Clearly, yeah.
He's observing them on what they dream about.
Yeah.
And it's just her turn to.
Well, this girl specifically is Jesus' phone.
Well, she thinks she's the phone.
Yeah, she thinks she's an iPhone.
But that she's specifically that person's phone. No.
I think it just said, Hisu, please answer the call.
Okay.
Yeah, but not that, like, if she was the phone, she would have just, like, picked up for her. You know what I mean?
She's inside. Like,
yeah.
she's,
no, I know.
like,
she is
the phone, yeah.
But I don't think she's Hisu's phone, because it said,
okay.
Hisu, please answer the call.
Okay.
I don't know. I get what you're saying, though, but I don't think that's it. Plus, this phone was very modern. Hisu's phone wasn't.
Right.
So I don't know.
But I think it's also, I think that these are like parallels, right? To where it's like, she is who she is, and then she dreams that she's a phone. And then, in reality, in the session, the other girl that's listening, she was just like, yo, so you're serious? She's just like, yeah. So there is like a disconnect.
So what I got from it, and what I found interesting here, I exist for you. When you call, I'll run to you anywhere, anytime.
When she's talking to the wall.
I exist for you, and it says,
그동안 제가 고민했던 것이
it
부끄러워졌습니다.
says,
제가 누구인지는
doesn't matter who I am
중요하지
anymore.
않아요. 저는
I exist for you. Now, once again, that brings me to my thought process on this part was, as an idol, you are seeing, like, there are people, unfortunately, there are toxic ass people in the fandom who they just want and want and want, and they will just take and take. Like, they don't really care about the actual
these
idol.
idols exist specifically
for them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I got from this whole section is like, it's like, you know, like, I guess you can put it in a metaphor as a phone. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you use your phone constantly for everything. You know what I mean? Whether, you know, for whatever you need it for, it's there for you.
Yeah.
And so if we actually do take that back to the last one, it's like she was using NewJeans for her mental health in whichever way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I exist for you. And it's like, Hisu, please pick up the phone. It's like, she's trying to be there for her. And all these letters coming in, and all these, you know, that could be seen as like fan mail, and everyone, you know, writing to them, and, you know.
I think it's funny that you mentioned it that way.
I don't know.
I really look at it that because if you look at it, it's like she's on the inside of the phone doing all of the things.
Yeah.
So it's like, she's listening to the conversation, and then she's talking into the big ear. She's listening to the lips, and she's writing and reading all the messages.
Yeah.
She's taking the picture.
But think about all the stuff idols do. They go on V Lives. They chat with the fans. Right. You know, they have to, you know, put on, you know, the show, the performance, you know.
This girl actually thinks like she's running the phone on the inside. Like, she's doing all the things.
I saw it more as a metaphor.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean,
this is also like symbolizing that obviously that she has something going on, and they're studying her to try to figure out what that is. But she's like, literally, I am the phone. She's doing all the things inside the phone that the computer thing does for the phone.
Yeah,
the phone does all together, which is, I think, it's kind of funny. And that her uniform is like Steve Jobs, which is hilarious.
As soon as she said Steve Jobs, I'm like, how did he pick up on that already? Yeah. Damn it. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to where we were.
실이라는 얘기야?
Okay.
네, 그렇습니다.
이 노래는 it's about you, baby. Only you. 내가 힘들 때, 울 것 같을 때, 기운도 이제 나지 않을 때. It's you, 날 걱정하니. It's you, 어렵게 하니. 말 안 해도 돼, but what do you say? 멀리 두는 데는 기다려와. 답은 저도 없이 난 나잖아. 이게 말이 되니 난 물어봐. 너는 말야, it's so much baby, you can baby. Oh my god, yes I'm not. I was really hoping that it will come through. Oh my god, 다음뿐이야. Asking all the time about what I should do. No, I can't do that. 나만 생각나 24. 넌 행운 아야 정말로. I know. 널 알기 전까지는 나는 게 없었어. 전부 다 내 맘이 끝이 없는 걸. I know. I'm going crazy, right? 어디서 내 뻔히 돼. There is nothing that I'll hold on to. I'm here to learn, so through all the nights. 잠시 벗어나서 넌 지만 넌 걱정 없잖아.
By the way, at any time, if there's a lot going on, if at any time you want me to pause and just break a couple things down.
Nah, it's good.
You want me to keep going? Yeah. Okay.
아니 우리는 뉴진스라니까. 오늘은 이만하고 각자 병실로 돌아갈게요. 네.
So, I found that at the end, like, just super interesting. I love how it's the most replayed.
So everybody's probably doing this, trying to translate it. Like, is that what it really says?
No, I mean, that's like this is their CCs for their video, so it should be.
Right. I think these series of videos all together, like, again, not comparing, but being that we're doing the BTS thing, like, this is their way of, I think personally, of just tackling more of a contemporary, broad thing with mental health as a whole.
Yeah.
Because, like, in this video, we just don't see it from the girl's perspective, and now we see that the band themselves are like, we're a band. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then at the other aspect of it, like, when they open up the book, there's, like, the different chapters, and then we see, like, of those chapters is, like, a representation of how whatever their mania is, I don't know if that's the right word, or their psychosis of whatever. One's a Cinderella, one's a motorcycle badass, one's like a person that's in a phone. You know what I mean? And they can all perceive themselves, and they see each other, and they're just like, wow, like, I got my own thing, you got your own thing, and I can recognize what you have. And this is presented in a, like, different versus, like, in the West, like how we would do something like this is like, it's not this tame, right? What we see in terms of media, positive or negative, in the light of that these girls are getting help, and they're just like, okay, yeah, like, the session's over, we're gonna take you back to your rooms, and they're just like, okay. Like over here, it's just like, you know, some fucking American Horror Story shit. Where it's just, there is something like mischievous and dubious about, but with this, it's like we're seeing different aspects, but then also like other patients too. Like the guy who was sitting in the corner, it's like we see that.
I thought that was the doctor observing them. Wasn't that the doctor?
I don't know. Because there was the guy with the beard too.
Yeah, I thought it was a doctor. Like a patient. Yeah, the way he was sitting in the corner, yeah.
But you could see what he was looking at. Like at that table, like everybody changing, that we saw construction workers and police officers and firefighters and all walks of life sitting down through these things. So it's like, I think what they're doing artistically is broadening that scope of like, we are all the same and we all deal with things and we all, and it isn't all like obvious on the surface level type thing, and they're doing a very good job of like connecting to it, but to your point too, also applying aspects of more modern contemporary things like the parasocial thing, like the person at the end, like just cut the shit. Just
have them dance and be pretty.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's covering all kinds of things: addiction to technology, and then disassociation through technology, societal norms, and your position and place in life where you want to be. Cutting back to the video, like to the first two videos, to Ditto, where it's just like when they're doing the dance routine in the like party room, and then it's a party in a separate room, and then it cuts into them doing it in the video, in the two private videos all together. And I think I think that's like the beat. That's the beat, the thread that's connecting them all together. That like the girls that we're introduced to in Ditto 1 and 2, or side A and side B, is just a more isolated incident, and then in OMG is kind of like a broader thing that the girls themselves as NewJeans are aware, and we go through our own things too, and this is kind of like what we're showing as a broad, that we understand that our fans and the normal person goes through their things and how they may perceive it, but this is how we perceive it in ourselves, and coming up and what we're doing and what we got going on. And they're equal parts, not necessarily antagonists, but they're different sides of they're watching other people do, they're having their own like episodes, and then they themselves are having their own episodes, and then they have a unified mania where they're all in it at the same time in these different timelines and stuff like that. So that's my perception on it.
I was kind of on the same wavelength a bit as you, because I was like, I felt like Ditto A and B was from the perspective of like the fan or whatever, right? Yeah. I felt like this was
like from
the perspective of the idol. Yeah. Like, because like you're using your idol to cope with whatever you have going through, which is what a lot of people do. A lot of people take comfort and you know everything like that. It happens a lot, for understandably so. But it's also like, that doesn't mean that your idol's perfect. They're going through their own shit too. And I feel like this is the representation of the flip side, showing the idols going through their own
individually, shit. It's not fairy tales. It may seem like that, and it's just like, I ate the poison apple and this shit sucks.
Well, and even like the way the poison apple was presented, like it was just her in the dark. She lit a match, and then she sees this evil thing trying to like poison her in the darkness. And to me, that represented the internet.
It could be a lot of things,
someone behind the computer, like who you don't even, see coming, and then you see this at the end. I was like, oh my god! I was like, I kind of like touched on that earlier when I was commenting about this person that comes out of nowhere with this like poison apple. It's like,
and who's the lady doctor? Is lady doctor in the group?
Yeah, that was one of the members.
Right. See, so it's just like
and it's also like members taking care of members, like because they have to be there for each other.
Right. But then
you know what I mean.
Also having someone see and be a part of the storytelling, like, is she able, like, that's part of her thing, like when they're sharing how they feel in their
in the end stories. She's the doctor, but in the beginning she's one of the people at the table,
right? So but it's also kind of like some like not Stockholm syndrome, but like kind of like Harley Quinn's character in Batman, like with the Joker, like she was a psychiatrist and she fell in love with the Joker and fell into her own psychosis. It's not saying that that's what she's doing or that's what she did, but from that perspective of like, whatever she's dealing with, she can see and document, and in a way of just being like, I got my own shit going on, but it's not saying that she's better or worse. It's just like, I can see what you're struggling with and going through, and it's totally different.
And what I actually interpreted that scene at the end, where now she's like this doctor, it's like, even though she's going through her own shit, maybe she's the oldest member, maybe she's considered the leader. I don't know, you know, because I don't know the girls like that, but it's like. A lot of times being the oldest member, like, you you have this feeling like it's your responsibility to take care of your members.
You are a little older.
So she might feel that she has to take care of them, and that's a burden that she carries as well, making sure that they're okay.
But I like
even though she has her own shit going.
But I like how like she's in the group too, so she's just in the thick of it too.
Right?
You know
yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
So
she's got her own shit going on clearly because she's at the table here. But then at the end, it's also like she's taking care of them as well.
But then like to what Jen was saying, like with the doctor who looks like a patient, like we all, it's like a sign of empathy. Like regardless of where you are in life and station, we're all human.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like, you know, when we're young, like when we're children, we feel like our parents have it all figured out. Like, and when you get older, you realize your parents were just doing the best that they could at that moment.
We talked about that in the BTS videos.
Yeah, it's like they didn't have it figured out. They still don't fucking have it figured out.
No one has it figured out.
No one has
really.
it figured out. But like when you're little, it's like everything that you think that they know everything, and they have all the answers to everything, and they've been there and then they've done that. But it's like, no, they're just doing the best that they can for you. And it's, you know, it's that kind of that same aspect, you know, just because, you know, your doctor might have all the answers for like whatever medical condition you've got going on doesn't mean that like they're perfectly 100% healthy themselves. Like they could have their own medical issues going on too, and you would never know because they don't show that side of you. They're here to take care of you in that moment. So yeah, it's the same thing, you know. On the outside, you know, we project that, you know, we're okay, but that doesn't mean we are. For
sure. We're all just trying to figure it out.
What do you got from it?
The 3 videos tied in together, to me, it felt like they weren't real, like in all 3 of them, especially like the one we just watched.
Yeah,
there's this one scene where they like break the wall and like we see like the crew.
Yeah, she's like, what are you guys doing? We're filming a video.
We're talking to the director, so in like a way proving that they're real. There's a part where one of them is like, "Don't you remember us? Like we're this band."
Yeah, right here. She's like, "Girls, what are you talking about? I'm gonna play this again." So girls, what are you talking about? We're shooting a music video right now. She's like, "See? Aren't we?" And she's like, "Aren't we?" And they're all just like looking at her.
Like that's how they all 3 of those videos like tied in together, because it gives me the feeling of like, are they real? Like are they even real? Like like what is NewJeans? Like are they real within like
Is this group real?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Are they just bunnies like hopping around?
Or like to lean into more that they are real.
You're partly off camera.
I'm right here, dog.
Scoot on in, yo. What were you saying?
That it's like an intimate level of like to your point, like breaking that fourth wall, but they're just being like NewJeans, regardless the music or not, they're people too. And if you're famous or not, or if you're in the eye or not, you still got to deal with your own things. And like they're shooting a video and those people are just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Not even like, hey, you're missing your cue and all this other stuff. And she's asking like, this is a music
and they're just
video,
there staring at her.
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So interesting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So once again, like as I kind of mentioned in the beginning, like I don't know if I mentioned in the video, if we just talked, like I went through this whole thing and I had my theories and stuff, but like I still don't necessarily know what the fuck's happening or like what's going on.
I don't want anybody to get bent out of shape, but I feel like this is NewJeans is like be you. Like this is their fantasy.
He's gone through the entire like BTS storyline. So and he's gone through the entire EXO storyline and the entire AT storyline. So he has like, you know, he's referencing BTS in particular because BTS's storyline is based in kind of like a reality, not fantasy.
But there is like a fantasy
element, ish.
And I feel like they're not biting or anything. They're not copying. This is just like they're using that type of storytelling to convey like very real, grounded in reality, mental, emotional distresses of everyday life. Like you don't have to grow up like me, poor, and like have a really scary life to deal with these things, because life is scary in its own accord. And I feel like this is kind of like, again, not even a copy or a version. Like this is like our experience. They're still really young. They're still blossoming into people. Like they're still babies. So they're not just take away that they're idols and they're performing. Them as human beings, they're very, very, very young, and they're in a position that most young people aren't in anyway. So there's whole other levels of stresses and obligations and responsibilities that no one should really have to, like, to that extreme have to deal with.
Yeah.
And they're dealing with it, and how they're coping with it through their art, through their music, is like twofold. And that's what I like appreciate about BTS too, that it's just like art, it's not art imitates life or vice versa. It's just, this is art is what we do, and this is what we want to share, but it's also a level of honesty and sensitivity and vulnerability to express and connect with people, because we're all going through something. And I feel like this is their version of that. And it's not necessarily as like intense as some elements in the BTS in the BU for BTS.
Yeah, they didn't kill anybody.
But at the same time, like I can definitely resonate with how they're carrying themselves, because they're a different generation too. You know what I mean? So it's there's a lot more information. There's a lot more things, like the girl thinking that she is an actual iPhone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to your point of like thinking that that dark evil entity was like the internet, but she's like consumed by her life is the iPhone. Everything, her correspondence, her connection, how she sees the world. Yeah, it's all through her phone. How she listens and processes art, and how she consumes art, how she communicates and expresses herself is all through technology in itself. So I feel like they did a very like cheeky and artistic and very light way to deal with a very like hard topic, because it's not concrete. Like psychology in general and dealing with emotions and the mind is not. It's very lucid, and it's very loose, and it's very fluid, and it just like what works today may not work tomorrow, and everybody's is perceptive and receptive to different things, and exposed to different things, we all react differently. And I feel like as a whole, that's what I can gather from my experience of what we've been doing and stuff like that. Like, to me as a whole, like, I don't know what's going on. I can't really theorize the concept altogether, and being that it is relatively new and they're like a fresh band and stuff, but from what I can, if I had to like label it as something, like, this is their BU. This is them, you know, kind of like saying like we human too. We're human too. Yeah. We go through stuff too. Yeah. You know, and we get it. Of like, even though we are in the public eye and we have each other in the group, like, but we individually have to like adapt and endure things. I don't want to say like suffer. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like life is difficult. And even like at the end there, where it's like, you know, no matter what you're doing, like, it's never good enough for some people. For some people. Yeah, exactly. Like, people are always going to scrutinize you and like critique you, and this is what they deal with every single day. I mean, every single day, like, there's toxic people online. Not even people online, like, we deal with that. Yeah. Like, as human beings, like, when you're a teenager trying to figure out where you want in your life, and you're no longer a kid, and you haven't experienced enough really to like, to your points where like when you get older you realize like, damn, your parents were just trying to keep the ship afloat type shit, that it's like, you know, we want to make people happy because we think that'll make us happy, and we want to conform to this or present ourselves a certain way and think like that's the way to do it. But you know, you gotta experience some shit and get your heart broke, and you know, do some shitty things to people, and people do shitty things to you, and you just realize that it's not necessarily like toxic cycles per se. It's just like the cycle of life that we all have to figure out, because there's no like roadmap or no manual for it all together. And like what I think is like really, really, really heavy is just for how young they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? But similar to BTS. They were young men dealing with a lot of things, and they come from different areas, and they different, not like huge differences in age, but they have different perspectives altogether. But for now, look at the generation after, of how much information is available, and what exposures and links and desires and stuff like that are so easily accessible at that age now, to where it's just like, bro, when I was their age, well, it's a different story, because I was like working a full-time job trying to support my family. But in the scheme of things of my contemporaries and my compatriots of that age, like at 15, 16, 17, you're not thinking about like shit. Like, you shouldn't have to think about things like that. But again, this is kind of like, this is what I get from it, that it's more of internal reflection and what brings us together, and we're more alike than we are different. And that's what I get a lot from Ditto and OMG. Yeah. As a whole, for what they're presenting, and they're doing a really good job about it. Yeah, I know. I was like, this is really good. It is. Man. And I like to like with like BTS, they take a very like philosophical and slightly mystical aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Both, it's equal parts science with psychology, and getting into like the literature and the art aspect of it too. And that's something that we all have our guilty pleasures and things, and we all have the things that we enjoy, and they present that, and it's incorporated in that. And they have a similar thing, but being that they're younger in a different generation, grew up in a different time, it's very bright and it's very vibrant. It's very and it's nuanced to the aspect of like we all can connect to this, even if we're not into pop music or like into girl bands and fashion and all this other stuff, but they're still presenting that same kind of like story. Yeah. And that shit's wild as hell. Yeah, I know. I was like, they're doing like they're out here doing some things a little different. They are. I like that. Like I appreciate that. I agree. Yeah, for sure. Definitely appreciated that like they kind of presented things like this because they don't have to put out music videos like this. They could have just put out a regular music video. So the fact that they're tackling the interpretation of like the music and the tone, and the tempo of the music doesn't match. Out there
where like. I mean, it's an issue everywhere, but mental health is as, like, something they talk about. Yeah, for sure.
And they're putting on the forefront, you know? They don't have to do it like this. They could have went a totally different direction. They could have went the other route. Yeah. You know? They could have went the pop music route. Yeah, they could have just give you a regular music video. Yeah, and regular schmegular, but the fact that they're love story and stuff. But that being said, also, did you see, like, what channel this video is from? Oh, yeah. You know who that is? Yeah. Yeah. So they are from Hybe. Yeah. So it's kind of not a surprise that like there's this like kind of deeper meaning storyline. Sure. And they have the ability to do that. Because this is the family, you know, that Big Hit is from as well. So it makes sense that this is happening, but also still like a surprise and appreciated at the same time because they don't have to do this, so the fact that they are doing this, I think, is really, it's really good. I think stuff like this is needed. For sure. You know what I mean? Sure. So, yeah, I think it's good. But, yeah, anyway, if you have any theories on this, if anything's been confirmed as far as this storyline and exactly what's going on, to my knowledge, I don't think anything's ever been, like, solidly confirmed about it. But if you know more information or, like, actual, I mean, I want to hear your theories as well, but, like, not just your theories. If there is, like, solid, like, this is what they said this was, please let us know down below. Also, if you have a completely different theory than we do, and it is just a theory, please just make sure in the comments you aren't like, no, you're wrong, it's this. If nothing's been confirmed, because remember, this is all up for interpretation, and until someone says, this is what it is, it's all just theories. So, you know what I mean? So, just make sure that you're not like very much like you're wrong like in the comments. Like don't be like that because this is what's beautiful about music and videos. It's all subjective and it's how like you're perceiving it and stuff. So that's the beauty of it all. So anyway, yeah, that is it, guys. I will be back personally with, I know they just had 4 new videos that had come out recently. I will be reacting to those coming up soon, so definitely stay tuned for that as well. I can't wait to hear those. But yeah, that is it, you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your theories down below. But that is going to be it for this one, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye!